You are listening to OSC Talk here on the OSC Podcast Network. I am Ryan Rivera. I'd like to take a moment to say thank you, as always, for listening to us here on the OSC Podcast Network. If you haven't done so already, please find us on YouTube or Apple Podcasts. Go ahead and hit the thumbs up on the YouTube videos, subscribe, leave reviews, comments, any feedback whatsoever that'll help us give you guys better content here on the OSC Podcast Network. So here on episode 2 of OSC Talk, we're going to be talking basketball sneakers. I was joined earlier by a family member of the show, my younger brother Jason, and we chopped it up for a couple of hours talking nothing but basketball sneakers. And so I had to break it up into 2 parts since we went so long. And here on part 1, we touched base real quick on his experience on the retail side. He's been doing that for about 5 years now with Nike. And so we started there and we just touched base on multiple subjects. So hope you guys out there enjoy the show, and let's go ahead and get into it. So you've been in the sneaker retail game for a little bit, haven't you?
Yes. 5 years, just hit 5 years, back in June, at the 5 year mark. 4 years with Nike, 1 year now with Converse. So got to see the Nike side, which is, I guess you can say the more popular shoes, the stuff that's in play, the stuff that everybody wants. Converse, which is now more of the, I guess you can say fashion, laid back, wear it with whatever you want type shoes. So it's I got kind of both feels for it.
I've always wanted to ask because back when I was working at the game store, I was excited when I first got in the game store. I was heavily into video games, but the longer I stayed in that job, the more and more I started becoming disinterested in video games because it goes from a hobby, something that I enjoyed doing, to now it's a job. Mm-hmm. And I thought I was a pretty big game fanatic until I really started seeing some big game fanatics coming through the store. They just wore me the hell out. Their enthusiasm for gaming, obviously, since it's not their job and they're not around it 24/7, was a lot more than mine was, especially towards the end of my run, where I got to a point where I despised video games. I'm wondering, has the same happened to you with sneakers?
No, I can kind of see how video games might do that. I feel like if I was in the same position, I think video games for me, because to me, video games is almost the same thing over and over and over. Mm-hmm. Some games are different. You got your first-person shooters and whatnot, but for me, I play Halo and COD. So yeah, if I was to just see Halo and COD every day on a daily basis, yeah, I think I would get to the point where I'm tired out. But for me, shoes is different because shoes. I have a really good quote. I feel like sneakers is not just it's not just a product, it's a way of life. Mm-hmm. So I kind of take that and actually use it because shoes can kind of tell a story of who you are and what you're about and, what you like to do. If you're wearing, blacks and whites, maybe you're just a neutral kind of guy. If you're wearing, your bright greens and, pinks and whatnot, maybe you're an outgoing guy, whatever floats your boat or however you go about life. I think that's what shoes can kind of tell. So that may answer this next question right here. You may have already answered it. I was going to ask you, how conscious is Nike? Because Nike's, the parent company of Converse. So how conscious is Nike of the sneaker culture? Like, do you see it on a retail level? Like, they recognize how big sneakers are in pop culture nowadays? I think they do. I think they want to try to get those people that are showing their product off, heavily. I think they want to try to get them signed. I mean, you saw that with Kanye, back in the day, and now you're seeing it with Adidas. Adidas is getting them. They're boosting their product.
Right. But do you see it at the store level front?
No, I don't think you see it at the store level front. I think the store level front, you just see it, as like shoes are coming in, shoes are going out. You don't see. You
don't see a lot of the hype beast.
You don't see all that. You just see you get a little bit of the hype beasts that are coming in, like looking for shoes that you're not going to get because I'm at a factory store.
And I think it's important that we mention that because you're not at a boutique or anything. You're in a big box retail store.
Yeah, not at the inline store. Inline store is your full price store. That's what's going to get, your your LeBrons will come out on the actual date. Your Jordans will come out on the actual date. I'm a factory source. Everything that we have technically is a season behind. So we're almost a year behind most of our shoes. So, when the LeBron 12s came out, we were just now getting the LeBron 11s.
Okay.
That's kind of like how we work. I feel like I never actually learned the full, or I never actually grasped the full concept of how it works. I think the way it works is whenever Nike is running out of their top dollar, product and they can't seem to sell it at a full price, that's when the factory stores come into play. We can bring it in. Jordan LeBron shoes are going for 180. When it comes to our store, is 129. So you're getting $60 off. And
how often do you see sneaker resellers come through?
All the time. All the time.
Is there a limit to what they can buy?
Actually, there is. Not really too sure if I can say this, but I'm pretty sure it's $4,000 dollars. That's the limit.
God damn, and you've had people hit that limit?
Oh yeah, I had people hit $4 shy of it. Leaving the store with like 130 something shoes.
Do you see that on the Converse side, or is this all Nike?
No, Nike has everything. Converse, you get maybe someone that comes in there and maybe buys like 20. Now these aren't your big shoe resellers. These are more like your local shoe resellers. Mainly people that are from like Mexico. That's who comes in. That's who buys the bulk of our product. So you'll see them. And I've even gotten curious one time. I even asked the guys like, "What are you gonna do with these shoes?" He literally just flat out told me, "I'm gonna resell them in Mexico." All right, cool. But he's not buying anything worthwhile. He's looking for his sale items. That way he can sell them for a higher price. Those are the resellers that we get. We're not getting the big boutiques,
right?
People. We're just not that big. We don't have that good of a product. I guess you can say our product is not the type of product you're thinking, oh my god, that's like a once in a lifetime, shoe. I need to go get it real quick. No, we're gonna get the ones that you're gonna be able to get at Finish Line or whatever somewhere else. We're not gonna be able to get that one shoe that you're gonna get at like Nice Kicks or the shoe store in New York only. So,
what do you think is more difficult, to work at a store like yours where it's focused on one brand, but you have such a large inventory, or multiple brands? Like, I mean, obviously you've never worked at another store other than Nike and Converse, but have those guys, like say like the manager at Foot Locker, has he come through and you talk with him and he's like, "Man, y'all got it easy. You only get to focus on one product versus us." Have you came across any of that?
Actually, no, never have. Even when I went to go interview, never had that question brought up to me. I think, just looking at it, I think it would be, I wouldn't say it's difficult. I think once you learn the shoe, once you actually put them on, you can actually kind of get your own idea of what the shoe feels like. Read the specs on it real quick. You kind of grasp of what they're trying to do. But no, I mean, I think at the end of the day, I think it would be easy even to work at Champs where they're selling Under Armour, Reebok. I don't think it'd be any difference. I prefer the one brand,
right?
Just because I can learn everything about it, and I mean, we have everything going from your Nike running to your Nike sportswear, basketball.
But what's the bigger seller? Is it the running or the basketball?
Running for us, for the store that I was at, we were more of a running store, so our running product was the heavier product. It was about 15%.
And is the store merchandised in a specific way because of those numbers?
Yeah, usually running is usually first, then basketball. Well, they actually bring down from corporate what the actual layout's supposed to be, and then we kind of set up what we feel like is our best seller. So their categories were running, basketball, Jordan, sportswear, and then within those categories, we would decide what goes first. So we think Air Maxes are going to be selling first. Obviously, those are the higher priced shoes. We're going to put those first. So on and so forth. Apparel, we were a little bit more, we had a little more leeway. We can actually get that based on what our numbers were. And usually Jordan was a little bit higher, just because it was a higher priced product. So the more that sold, obviously, the more money you could get. So Jordan usually was first, usually in front of the window. People can see it. Running was next, training, and then sportswear.
That's really interesting, man. I always wondered about that. So your love of sneakers haven't diminished. They're still strong.
I think working at it just made it even stronger. I mean, I tell a story to everybody that I've came across or employees that I've met. I started off when I went to Nike. I started in 2012. So in 2008, when I was still in college, I started finally buying my own sneakers. My first one was in Jordan 17 Low. That was my very first pair.
What color?
White and Carolina.
The white and Carolina, yeah.
With the inner line sock.
Did you fold it down or did you pull it up?
I always folded it down. I hate the way it was up. It felt weird. I've never been a high top person, so I could never keep it up. So I always kept it down. So that was my first pair. Second pair, I believe it was Nike Shox. When those first came out.
And we were talking before we started recording. You didn't like how those felt.
No, they're super hard. And they're actually, I don't know if people actually know this. They're actually meant for a certain weight limit. You got to be a heavier person for the springs actually work.
Oh, okay, I got you.
There's springs in those Shox. And you got to be a heavier person for those things to actually work.
Okay.
That's what it's meant for. But they're super hard. That was my opinion. I mean, I like the look of it, of the very first ones that I
Yeah, it was a unique look.
I believe that was in 2006, I think, when those first came out. So maybe I was a little off. Maybe it was 2005.
Well, Shox has been around way before that.
I remember buying my first
as early as because remember Vince Carter. I was gonna the 2002 Olympics or 2000 Olympics.
Was he wearing those?
Yeah, he was wearing Shox back then.
I remember. I just remember the craze in about 2004, 2005 for the Shox. I remember like the very first ones I got were the white, silver, and blue pair. Those are actually until this day my most expensive pair of shoes that I've bought, and they were $158
after taxes.
Yeah, it was. And I got the hookup too. I knew somebody. So,
but since we mentioned in price, what's the most you've spent after you started working at the stores?
Nike Airflight Zoom 95, the Jason Kidd ones. I got that at Nice Kicks for $98.
Oh wow! So you've actually
had a gift card for $50. So it's actually more than that. So it's actually like $148, but the gift card knocked off $50. So I actually lucked out on that one.
And besides, free shit, because you've mentioned to me before that y'all get hooked up with free stuff every now and then. What's the cheapest?
Cheapest was $22 Air Max plus TXT.
Isn't it amazing that you can remember the exact model because you can't believe you got such a great deal on it?
I didn't expect to be spending that kind of money. It was all gray. I remember it came in at $35. We had a sale going on plus my discount, $22. 24 was the next pair. 2011 Air Maxes, lime green, electric green. So those are my next cheapest pair. I don't think I never hit the 10s.
I spent $10 because let me just go ahead and disclose it since you're my brother. I get, the benefits of the family discount. I spent $10 on some red Nike SBs for Eli. So granted, it's a small kid shoe, but $10
for a shoe in general.
It's $5 a shoe.
It's not bad. It's a good deal. So I've been lucky to be in a nice sneaker store. So I've been able to get the perks, and I try to take advantage of it.
Have you thought because I ain't gonna lie, when you no longer work for Nike, how is that gonna change how you shop for shoes? Because I've thought about it. I'm like, man, am I gonna go back to spending a couple $100s on some shit?
I don't think I'll ever spend $100 on a pair of shoes just because of what I know.
Because you know that they can be sold for less.
Yeah, right. So I mean, I might stick to the factory store still, and year later, who cares? I mean, it's still a cheap price, still a good shoe.
Well, I think Retro Jordans has proven, because remember, there was a time where wearing the old pair of shoes was not cool.
Yeah.
So now with the retros and all that, it don't matter when a shoe came out. Now vintage is even better.
Exactly. I bought in shoes that were like, for instance, I had 3 pairs of 2011s that I bought in 2014. They just look good. Right. That's all that matters to me. I'm not worried about what's in style and whatnot. I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh my God, these, I don't know, let's just say the new Kyrie's come out. I gotta go get them. No, if it looks good, that's what I'm gonna get. If it's in my ballpark, that's what I'm gonna get.
So this slow ass internet finally loaded up. The Nike Shox did debut in 2000. So now that you're in Converse, man, how freaking amazing is it that brand has literally gotten by on one shoe?
It is kind of crazy. I get people every day complaining about the prices because it's $49 now.
As what would Boss say? Back in the day, this shit was $20.
$20. I get that.
But now it's got Lunar Lawn.
Yeah, I even get that now. I still get it now from people talking about how back in the day you used to pay like $20.
So how many times do you have to hear this shit a day?
I get it maybe once a week. At least once a week I get some. It's usually the older people. They usually come in. They're just looking. Man, I remember this thing used to cost $20. I'm like, well, man, times have changed. What do you want them to do?
And you know what? It's not the only thing because, dude, I remember back in 89, 90, the Air Jordan 4 was $89.99 at the PX. The Air Jordan 5 was $99.99 at the PX. And now these shoes are being retro today. Man, I want to say there was a pair of Air Jordan 5s that hit $199, $200. I mean, it's crazy.
The Toro Bravos?
No, this was just I'm not 100% sure. Yeah. I think it was an OG color. But that reminded me, I was nearly floored. I'm going to have to look this up. But the Jordan 16, the blue and white color, a color that I think is horrible.
The suitcase?
No. That was the 17 that came with the suitcase. The 16 is just the shoe with the gator. It has the patent leather on the toe. That motherfucker retroed for $249. That's not what they costed back then. I'm going to have to look that shit up.
I think that shoe, I honestly think because that shoe was in high demand. I mean, everybody's been asking for that shoe.
So the price was hype beast.
I think it was in high demand. People wanted it. They were going to spend whatever they needed to spend to get that shoe. Because honestly, I've been asking for that shoe for 4 years before that shoe even came back out.
That's crazy, man.
I know they came out with the 17s came out with the suitcase. That came out over $200. I don't know how much it was. I think it was $200.
Well, OG they were $200 because I bought a pair back in the day.
The new one was even more, like $229 maybe.
It was the suitcase. It came with a CD. You know, that's what I always liked about Jordan Brand. They were always the brand that went the extra mile to justify a little bit their pricing. Whether it's a suitcase, the 18s came with a really nice box with the dust covers and the brush. I don't know what the 19s came with, but I think the 20s came in some ridiculous packaging.
Not the 20. I know the 20s had something like that. The 2012, I believe, is what it didn't have a number. Well, it's in the number category, but it happened
when they were going by the years.
Yeah, this one was like 2012. We had them at Nike. We got them in, and it had 3 compartments. One for the shoe, one for the inner sole. You can change like 3 of them out. And then one for the actual sock liner, I think you can change 3 of those out as well. Mm-hmm. That's the most outrageous box I've ever seen in my life. Those were the hardest boxes to go get for people because it was ridiculous how big them damn things were.
So before we started recording, we were talking about some top signatures, and we went ahead and narrowed it down to 5, and we're just going to go ahead and put this out there. We are biased to Nike. Nike is both of our favorite brands, but me personally, I have love for all brands, but I personally wear Nike for financial reasons. And so when we put together our little list of top 5 signatures, and this is just how we feel, we're not looking at any numbers or data or anything like that. They were all Nike. Not a big surprise.
I'm not surprised. I mean, I've always said it. I think Adidas, they just look the same to me. That's just my personal opinion. Going from Dwight Howard, when John Wall had his shoes.
Yeah, but I think those are 2 bad examples. I mean, when you think Nike Adidas basketball, I mean, obviously Harden is the first person you think of. Yeah. And then their crazy explosive looks very nice.
It's not bad.
And then you got Derrick Rose, who's still hanging around. Boost technology was when I really think they found their stride in the basketball market. But going back to what we think is the top 5 in no particular order, we came up with LeBron. I think that's a no-brainer. Yeah. Obviously Jordan, the godfather of signature sneakers. Kobe Bryant,
obviously.
KD, and then number 5. It was kind of a crapshoot, but we went ahead and decided with Kyrie.
I think he's up and coming. I liked his shoes from the beginning. The twos had a strap. I think that was a pretty interesting concept with the straps, but I like when they took the straps off. I think the straps off a lot better. Now his latest one, I saw the pictures and not really too crazy of the mentality. A colorway.
You talking about the number 4s or what?
No, it's a 3. The 3.
It's a 3. Okay.
The 3 that just came out. There's 4. I haven't seen the 4s yet, but the 3s that just came out. It was the Kobe mentality ones, yellow and black. He just released it like not too long ago.
The Bruce Lee's.
Is it that one?
Yeah, if it was inspired by Kobe's
his
Bruce Lee colorways. You don't like that?
I don't like the colorway. I don't like the way they block the colors. I think.
Man, I think it's great looking.
It looks like the Jordan 29s when they first came out, and they have that blue color, that blue and white color, where it was like the blue on the toe cap, the blue on the on the tongue, and then the white surrounds everything else. I don't know. I don't like the way they don't like the way they block the colors, but. A little different, maybe it would have been a little bit better. Maybe flip it. Put the black where the yellow is at, yellow where the black is at. I think that might be a nice shoe.
When we were talking about these SIGs, or when I was thinking about what I wanted to mention when we were talking about the SIGs, it got me to thinking. You can almost break these signature athletes into tiers. Mm-hmm. Obviously, LeBron. I put LeBron and Kobe as far as the top of the pecking order for Nike, with KD close behind. KD is not too far behind. And then, Jordan's in a class all by himself. Mm-hmm. And then so once you get past Kobe, LeBron, and then Jordan, and then you have what I like to call like the B team. Your Paul Georges, your Kyries. I don't think people realize how many basketball shoes Nike has. I mean, their basketball catalog is ridiculous. And, certain athletes are going to drive people to buy products that they endorse, like your LeBrons and your Kobe's or whatnot. And then you got guys like Kyrie and Paul George to where they have just enough name recognition to make a particular model stand out from the pack. So it pushes that shoe. Because think about it. Take Kyrie's name off of that particular shoe. You just got another Nike shoe. Yeah. You take PG off his shoe, it's just another Nike shoe. So those guys are just popular enough to make those shoes stand out and push those shoes. And I think they're priced, accordingly as well to sell. Where you have your LeBron and your KDs that are going to have the higher price tags, better materials.
KD I want to say just recently started hiking his prices up, because he was at first no more than 120.
120, 130.
That was his thing.
His last two shoes have been 150, if I'm not mistaken. But his last two shoes, in my opinion, is when he finally stepped up to that next level.
That star, they realized they're going to buy.
Right.
They're going to buy it regardless.
Right, and you can tell that they're putting stock in them. Mm-hmm. Man, what'd you think about his comment against Under Armour? Steph Curry is a teammate of his, and he made that Under Armour comment. And what'd you think of that?
It's the truth. I mean,
well, have you ever wore Under Armours?
I never worn it, but doesn't look good enough for me to wear it.
But here's the thing, because it's crazy, because you have people who judge a shoe by performance. Because ultimately, if you buy a basketball shoe, you want it to perform.
No, you're not making it. You're not wearing it to look good.
But then you have guys that like us that judge it just primarily off looks. I don't play basketball enough to really buy a shoe just for on-court performance. So the aesthetics is big for me.
Yeah.
I think Under Armour's biggest problem is their logo. I think it's an ugly logo, But the new Steph Curry's look pretty good.
No, I think they
you swap out the SC for a Nike logo, and people are going to be raving about it.
I mean, I think he has finally stepped up, or they have finally stepped up. But I mean, I think they could have done. I honestly think they could have done better. His first two shoes look the same. I don't think they changed anything from it.
His second shoe looked okay, and it sold very well. His third shoe, they dropped the ball with the third one.
But their shoe sales. I think his shoe sales are primarily based on him, though. As long as he's doing good, as long as he's still the face of the Golden State, his shoe's gonna sell. Where KD and PG, well, more like PG and Kyrie, they're up and coming, but their shoes gonna sell because, people just they rather have the Nike shoes.
Right. We were making our top 5 signature shoe list, and Steph Curry was obviously mentioned. You have to mention him. We also mentioned James Harden, Paul George. What do you think about the overseas brands, the Chinese brands like your Antas, your Peaks, your Li Ning? What do you think about those?
They're all right. The Li Nings is, I guess his colorways, I just don't think they fit the shoe Like, personally, I think he's got some outrageous colorways.
They have a real distinct style to them.
They
though.
do. I mean, you can tell his shoes are. You can tell that those are his shoes once he's on it, or actually whenever somebody else wears it, you can tell that it's his shoes. I'll give him that. It stands out. The Antas. I mean, honestly, unless I actually look up close, I really couldn't tell what that shoe was. Honestly, from before, it looks like a hybrid nut. I mean, just with the little. Whatever the answer sign look.
I don't know what the hell that is.
It's just like it's kind of like a line, I guess you can say. But I mean, they're all right. They're not anything that I'm gonna go crazy over, but it is what it is.
I think it's smart for the players, though.
No, I mean, yeah, they're gonna get money from those people regardless. I mean, they won't get. He won't get it like Clay won't probably get as much as he wants from Nike. So yeah, I mean, go overseas, get somebody who will shove out the money for you. I mean,
well, but you also got to think, for whatever reason, us as Americans living in the United States, we tend to get trapped in our own little bubble. We think if it ain't happening here, it ain't nothing, right? There's 1 billion people in China.
Oh yeah, I'm sure
for all I know,
like
and Kobe's huge in China, but for all I know. They might think Klay Thompson's the next coming over there.
I'm sure Anta and Lei Ning are probably bigger than what they are there. I wouldn't be surprised they're 1 and 2.
I always get a kick because a lot of leaks come from overseas. I always get a kick out of the leak where it's. I don't know if it's the same store per se, but it's the same chain. It looks like a Sam's, and they got the shoe sitting. It could be anything. It could be the newest LeBron, and it's sitting. It looks like it's at a Ross or something. It's not all done up like at the Foot Locker or anything like that. Speaking of LeBron, what do you think about the LeBron 15?
I need to see a different color. I think the two colors that I've seen. I haven't done justice to it.
Well, what versions have you seen? Because there's like 3 different ones.
I've seen one without the shoelaces.
There's a zipper version.
There's a zipper version. I could have sworn that was just. I thought I zipped up, then the shoelaces went above it.
Yes, okay. And then there's a strap version.
I haven't seen the strap then, so I've just seen the zipper one. It looks interesting. Honestly, it looks the same. That's my honest opinion. It looks the same from the 14s, just with a different material.
Are you serious?
That's the first look. That's the first opinion that I.
There isn't a trace of the 14s on these.
The soles look the same. The soles look
the same as the KDs.
To me, I don't know why. My first glance, it looked the same as the 14s. Maybe it was a picture. Maybe it was the angle of the picture that I saw. But I haven't really seen an actual a good photo of it yet.
My first impression was the emoji where he's rubbing his chin. I wasn't sure. I liked it. I didn't think it was ugly. I didn't know if it fit LeBron though, because you think LeBron, his shoes almost are a reflection of him. They look like shit that you wear to go to battle.
No, yeah.
Because LeBron's a tank. You think of his soldiers. You got they look like Kevlar vests, and you got straps on them and shit. And you think of his past shoes that had all that. I don't know if it was foam posit, but like the 12s that you got, they looked like they're built to go to battle. Yeah. So when I first saw it, it looked too finesse for LeBron. And then you got the similarities to the KD with the mid and the outsole, which we'll actually get into that here in a second, whether or not that's a big deal or not. But the upper just completely different from what we're used to seeing from LeBron's line.
I agree.
But I like it.
But I still think the silhouette, I guess you can say, at a glance, looked the same. Now, from his first shoe to his 13s, you can't argue that every shoe was different.
Yes.
And now these last couple of shoes, even the Soldiers, they all look the same.
The Soldiers,
they all look the same. But
well, the last 2 Soldiers,
they had pretty much the same shoes, except for one more strap.
The number 10 was such a huge success. Yeah. I think it was his best-selling Soldier. So I kind of see why they played it safe with the 11. I agree with you 100%. 1 through 13, the biggest credit that I always gave LeBron's line was how different each shoe was. Different. The 14 was such a huge disappointment because it was so boring. It was so boring. And I have a little conspiracy theory that I think I've shared with you. Yeah. I don't know what I don't know exactly, the timeline to it because these shoes are developed so far in advance. But I have a feeling that 14 was a last-minute rush job. I think the Soldier 11 was meant to be the next LeBron, so that would have been the 14. Yeah. Didn't work out for whatever reason. And I think that 14 was a rush job. I mean,
because the 14 shoe and the 13 lows look the same.
Right.
Except for one has a strap, the other one doesn't. And I think maybe the sole is a little bit different too. But I would definitely get 13 and 13 down. They all look different. That's why I give them credit for. That's why I kind of give Nike credit for. They all look different. Every shoe looks different. And because my thing is from afar, I can tell what shoe you got on. Then I think that's a good credit. Where like Adidas and everybody else, I'm having to really figure out what shoe do you have on. There's little things that everybody, every Nike shoe has that kind of stands out. You can kind of tell, okay, yeah, that is for instance, if it's the Jordan 29s, if it was a photo real one, you can kind of tell, okay, that's a Jordan 29.
Right.
You knew that was a 29. The Soldier, the new Soldier 12s, I think is what it is, or something like that. You can tell with the 3 straps or 4 straps, you knew that was a Soldier. I mean, that's what I like about Nike. That's what I liked about the fact that they all look different. You can kind of tell there's one thing on that shoe that you can tell that's that shoe.
Speaking of Jordan, I'm so happy that they've gone through a resurgence, and I'm loving this 32. Or is it the 31?
No, 32.
It's the 32. I'm loving this 32, man. What do you think about that?
I like it too. I finally seen some more pictures. Yesterday they unveiled the new Nike jerseys, and I believe 2 people had on their own team colorways.
Yes. Walker was one.
Walker was one. And he had the teal color, and one of them had whoever had the yellow. I think it was Conley had a yellow.
Conley, yeah, you're right.
He had the yellow version.
And then I believe nice. Maya Moore has been posting some of her PEs as well. She's had some white and Carolina blue ones, I believe. But it's a phenomenal. I love it.
I like the fact that they put the 2s in there. I find the 2s to be a good shoe. I like it aesthetically. I have my own pair of them.
You have a pair of 2s?
I have a pair of 2s, the high tops, white and black, with the red trim. I do had them for almost 10 years now. They're
not my favorite pair of Jordans, but I've grown to appreciate what they were doing. I mean, you got to think, this is 1986 when that shoe came out, correct? Or is it 87?
Probably 87, I think.
So 87.
85 was his first.
Either way, long ass time ago. And they go without a swoosh, which was groundbreaking at the time. Just compare that shoe to the other shit that was around back in the day. I mean, it looked like it came from outer space. I did start appreciating the 2 a little bit more with the Don C collaborations. You remember those?
The one that's all blue.
All blue. There's also I believe they call it the beach colorway.
I'm not a fan of the all solid colors.
Really?
I don't like those 2 colors.
But I like the materials that they incorporate with the quilt and whatnot. So I really dug how they incorporated the 2s into the 32s. I wonder if this is going to be something we're going to start seeing because it's going to start getting old. Like, is the 33 going to play off the number 3s, which I don't even think will work because elephant print's been featured in other shoes.
True. I mean, I don't care if they use a little bit of the 3s. I mean, I kind of like the modernized look of the 32s now. It's like, the 2, but, when I'm on the look of it, I don't mind that. I would like to see them go back towards the older stuff. I mean, more, kind of see the patent that they come back out. Maybe the elephant print makes a comeback. Who knows?
So going back to something I mentioned earlier, I mentioned that the LeBron 15s is borrowing the mid and outsole from the KDs. Do you think that's a big deal if another person's shoe borrows something from another shoe? I mean, isn't it like 2 Chevys that have the same style rims?
Yeah, it's just I don't think they care. I think as long as it's comfortable. I don't think he minds that his soles look the same as KD. I don't think he would mind.
I don't think it matters. And you look back to
as long as he feels comfortable.
Well, you look back to the early Jordans. 3, 4,
they all
5.
The same
yeah, just different tweaks. But generally they were all the same. So we mentioned that what we appreciated on some of these lines is how different each shoe is as they progress.
Yeah.
We have Kobe on this list on the top 5, and I mean he's had some great shoes, but my biggest knock on Kobe is the lack of differences between. What's your take on that?
I don't. They look similar. I think the only thing that's different will be the actual sole. I think
on the last one, 7 and 8 is the biggest offender in my opinion. Those shoes look very similar.
They do one, but one had the I guess I don't know what you would call that material, kind of like a snake feel to it. I guess you can say it had it was more of a textured pattern. The sevens, it was the same thing. I had more of a textured pattern, but the back of it I think is what was the biggest difference. The six had more of like a heel cup to it. I don't think the sevens had it.
What's your best Kobe?
Mine would probably be the nines, the night high tops. The Dart Frogs are probably my next one. Dart Frog 7s are probably my next one. And then I got the, I don't know what it's called. I think it's the, the Merlot 10s.
I absolutely love the 9s. I think the Kobe 9 high top.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the low tops are great too, but the high top
high top's nice.
is one of the greatest sneakers ever made. I remember seeing the leaks on that shoe, and my mind was blown. I was still on Facebook at the time, and I was hyping the praise for that shoe since day one. I loved it.
I think I'm a little different because I don't think I liked that shoe at first.
Right. A lot of people didn't.
I didn't like it at first, but now I saw it in person. It was a little bit different. Then one of my coworkers got it, and then I got to actually look at it and really see it on him and how he wore it. It actually grew on me. And then I finally got my pair. Funny enough, I got it from Chris.
Shout out to Chris.
Yeah, appreciate that. So yeah, I got it from him and put her on. I mean, honestly, I think that's probably one of my most comfortable shoes. Is that one?
I absolutely regret not getting a pair of those. So do you prefer the highs or the lows? Because you said earlier you're a low top guy, which I am as well.
To heart. And I think it's funny because most of my Jordans are high tops, but
well, certain shoes look better in high top form.
No,
I'm not a fan of low Jordans.
You can't put most of the Jordans in the low top form. It's just not
especially when they're not originally designed as a low.
Because even the twos,
you just can't chop the top off and call it a low.
The twos don't look good when they're low.
Although those were OG lows too.
They were, but I don't like the way they look. Michael, our brother, he has a pair.
Shout out to Michael.
Sorry, but I don't like the way those look. I really don't.
Now, I remember when he chopped off his 20s?
That was a mistake.
And he tried to act like there was some dope shit?
He should have kept that one,
honestly. Shoes are so terrible.
They are now, but I really feel like he should have kept them. I think that's what made the shoe. The strap is what made the shoe. That was the whole point of that shoe.
So when did you decide I'm a low guy? Like at what point did you start noticing?
I've always been a low guy. I wouldn't say I wasn't noticing it. I just think for me and what I wear, low tops just look better. Personally.
See that I'm in the same boat. Like as my style changed from being so worried about what the hell I was wearing to where 99% of the time I just wore gym shorts in a t-shirt, and come wintertime it's a hoodie and some sweats. Low tops just look better.
To me, I mean, low tops look better. I mean, I can wear the high tops when I'm wearing, pants, but then that takes away from the actual shoe. It's kind of pointless to wear pants on some high top shoes because
you're covering up the upper part.
You can't see what it looks like. I think for me, it just when I look down and I look at myself, it looks weird. To me, it just looks weird. So a lot of people think it looks good, but I think it looks weird.
The KDs are about as high of a cut as I personally like, and they're styled in a way to where your pant sits behind the tongue, so you can still see the shoe. But, I tossed around the idea of possibly getting the 32s, and I just don't think I'm going to be able to pull it off. So I'm just going to let that, slide. I'll admire it from afar. I just don't know if I'll be able to pull the look. So going back to Kobe, there's this big hubbub about them retiring both numbers for him, right? 824. Me personally, I don't give a shit, man. Add the 2, make it 32, and retire that one as well. I don't care. Well, actually, isn't it already retired? 32? That's magic.
Shaq, I think, too. Oh, no, is it? Because Shaq's wearing it.
Shaq wore 32?
No, he wasn't 32.
Magic was a 30 as well, so I'm sure someone out there will correct us.
Shaq was probably 34, I think.
I think you're right. Yeah. So anyways, it got me to thinking, what about his sneaker legacy? Obviously he started out with Adidas while wearing number 8.
He's Nike.
Right. I mean, that's no question. I mean, I just got to put it out there because it's part of the history. But he did wear some iconic Nikes as he was number 8, though. He had that 1 year where he was a free agent, and I think a lot of that had to do with his legal issues at the time. Nike just didn't want to commit to him at the time. He wore some pretty nice Jordan PEs.
Oh, he had a couple of Jordan 8s and the threes.
Some threes, some 8s, 7s. And then a lot of people forget he helped launch the Huarache 2K4s, which that shoe kind of morphed into the Hyperdunk if you think about it.
It looks similar to it, yeah.
And he was also the poster boy for the original Hyperdunk. You remember that famous commercial where he jumped over the Aston Martin?
Yeah, that was Hyperdunk.
That was the Hyperdunk. And then we were doing some research, and it looked like he was still number 8 when the Kobe Zoom 1 came out. Yeah. And then
the Zoom 2, I think, was finally the 24s, because the Zoom 2 had the 24 on the back. Or I don't know if that was like commercially made like that. Probably just for his own pair though.
Maybe a PE. Yeah, so he switches the 24, and I mean, I think his sneaker legacy is kind of set in stone from there on out. What do you think about what they're doing today, though, with the Kobe series or Kobe line, I should say? It's a little confusing with the whole AD. What's your understanding of that?
I just wish they would have just kept going. I don't know what the meaning behind all that is.
The story they put out was AD, kind of like BC, after the retirement.
I guess,
but not necessarily the name. But so last year they put out the Kobe AD. Then earlier this year, they put out the NXT.
Yeah.
And then just a month ago, not even a month ago, a couple weeks ago, they put out the mids. I mean, are we going to see another flagship Kobe, or?
I guess they're going to keep going in the AD form, I guess. I mean, but I wish they would just keep going with his numbers. Might as well. I mean, they did it with Jordan. Jordan's line, it's still going hard.
Right.
Why not just do it with him? Why not just keep going numbered?
I don't know if they're going to be saving this for LeBron. I think they're going to do it with LeBron. I mean, he signed a lifetime contract, break him off into his own brand.
Yeah, but Kobe was there before him. I mean, why not just do it with him?
No, LeBron was a Nike athlete prior to Kobe. He was in the league before.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like in general, Kobe's been there longer. His legacy is well known. Why not just do it with him?
I mean, you could. I think what they're trying to shoot for is the fashion world. They go off of seasons. Yeah. So I think that's kind of what they're going for here. Like it's the season of the AD. So you have the flagship shoe, which is, the most plain out of all three of them. And then they came out with the NXT. Then now they have these mids, which I like a lot. I tried them on at the Nike store the other day, and I didn't quite like how they looked on me, but just looking at it in my hands, phenomenal looking shoe.
I haven't seen the mids. I did like the NXTs. I do like the cover over the shoelace. I think that's what gets me. I love the cover of the shoelaces. But I haven't seen the new ones that just came out. I might probably go home and look it up real quick. But I don't know. Just in my opinion, I wish they would just keep on going with his numbers. Just do 12, 13, 14. Just keep going with it. Who cares? Okay,
so you mentioned the cover on the NXTs. We talked about the Jordan 16s earlier that came with that gator. It's been a long-standing staple in the shoe industry of them covering up the laces. What are you? You a cover up the laces guy, or do you like the laces?
I like my laces out. Unless the shoe calls for it. I mean, like the 16s came with the shroud, but I always took the shroud off.
So okay, so if they're going to cover the laces up, do you prefer it to be a situation where you can remove it?
If I can remove it, I'm going to remove it.
Because the 19s, you couldn't remove it.
No, you couldn't.
The 17s, you could.
17, no, both of them you couldn't.
No, the 17s you could.
Well, not the same
it snapped on.
There's a 19 and there's an 18. Both of them were covered.
That's right. The 18 was covered.
18 was covered. 19 was covered. You couldn't take them off. 16s, I think, was the best way to do it. Put the shroud on there. You can take it off. You can put it on. Whatever you want to do. That's what I prefer. But at the same time, I'd not just have no cover.
We also mentioned earlier on the LeBron 15 zipper. Are you a zipper guy? I can't stand zippers on shoes.
I actually had the gloves back in the day. The Gary Paytons when he was with Nike. I did have his gloves, and the zipper was always down.
I'm just
I kept it up.
Aesthetically, I just don't like how they look.
No, I think you're covering the shoe because the outside looks one solid piece. I don't like the way that looks.
The only shoe that I thought pulled off the zipper was the Air Jordan 28. I know a lot of people don't like that version of the Air Jordan. I loved it. And when they started doing the prints, I knew, okay, this is the new shit now. This is where we're going to be going. And
Reebok did it.
with the prints?
No, not with the print. They did zipper, though.
Right,
with
but it's
Iverson's shoe.
right, but when I
As far as putting a print on it, yeah.
but when I realized what they were doing with the zipper, that they were treating it as a canvas,
Yeah.
and they were doing the prints, that's when I knew, okay, this is the direction they're going.
He had some good ones, yeah.
And then they took it to the next level with the 20. The 29 is one of my favorite Air Jordans ever.
Yeah.
Ever. I mean, you mentioned the photo reels earlier. I mean, geez, I would love to look up a stat.
Anything you can do with that shoe, yeah.
I think it's the Jordan with the most colorways produced. There's 25 to 30 easy Nike produced colorways.
Sure, the 11s are got to be up there.
Oh no, I'm willing to put money on it right now. We look up a stat on this. I think that I'm talking.
You're not talking about schools either, are you?
No. Well, you can include those if you want. Okay, let me rephrase. For a first run, the most colorways produced for a first run, because the 11s have all
too.
Yeah, the 11s have they've been around a lot longer, retros
yeah.
and whatnot. So that'll be an interesting stat to try to look up. So we both agree as far as Kobe goes, his sneaker legacy 24.
24, yeah.
All right, cool.
I mean the same thing even for retirement. I think for me personally, I don't remember him when he was 24.
Afro or no afro?
Afro, honestly. I prefer that.
I got to give Adidas props for that one logo. I thought that was a pretty dope logo. Too bad the shoes didn't share the dopeness.
His little space boots.
I had a pair of those. I loved them back in the day.
Yeah.
They were the most uncomfortable shoes I've ever worn in my life, man.
You know what was hard to put on too? The LeBron 13s.
I never tried.
13 and the 8s. I bought both of them.
The 8s?
Yeah,
the 8s was a traditional shoe with a tongue and everything.
No, KD8.
Oh, KD8. I'm sorry.
KD8 and then the LeBron 13s. I bought them separately, one at a time, because I wanted the 13s originally because they came out with a black and gum bottom version.
Oh, I remember those.
It had
those look nice.
Had the purple 23 on the tongue, but I didn't realize that they put a cover. It's literally one cover is what it is. Mm-hmm. There is no tongue. It's one cover.
It's a one booty upper.
Yeah, and I can't. It was the whatever was above the arch was impossible to put my foot through. I spent like 5 minutes trying to put that shoe on. I put it on, my foot went numb.
The KD9s were the toughest shoes that I ever bought and tried on. Mm-hmm. I mean, when I bought them in Chicago, and when I got to the hotel, I thought I made a mistake. I was like, I might have to return these shits, man. They were hurting my feet. They finally break in, and they're one of the most comfortable shoes I ever had.
Because I had the 8s and they had a black colorway.
I'm having troubles remembering the 8s. What was the deal with the 8s?
It looks like the 9s, but just with the tongue.
Okay.
It wasn't a solid shoe. It had a tongue on there. It had the. Do you remember the KD8 All Star?
I'm having trouble. I'm gonna have to look it up. I'm having trouble picturing the 8s in my head.
It's It was his first. It looked like an Air Max shoe when it first came out. It looked like
I remember now. Because
he had the red
right. It looked like a running shoe. I'm seeing it now.
Like a running shoe.
And then the Elite had that compression sock.
Big old compression sock. And
remember
those
now,
were just tight. For me, those were just tight.
Really?
In the front.
Those were hard.
They weren't. It was just tight in the front. I couldn't do it. Maybe I just wasn't wearing them for very long enough and it wasn't breaking in. But I put them on and walked around the apartment. I couldn't do it no more. It was more tight than anything else. Both of them were comfortable. Mm-hmm. I'll give you that. They were super comfortable. It's the feel around my foot was just not right.
Okay, well let's stick with comfort. We're both Nike guys. I cannot remember the last time I bought another brand of shoe that's not Nike. So we're gonna stick with Nike. Mm-hmm. What's your favorite Nike cushion?
It has to be the Nike Zoom.
Full length, broken up.
It depends on the shoe. I mean, probably my favorite. Well, probably not my favorite. My most comfortable shoes, I think, it has to be my Huaraches. Mm-hmm.
And that's a Nike Air cushion.
Yeah, I don't think it's a full length. I think that's just more.
No, it's just the heel.
Back. Yeah. And I mean, it's super comfortable. Mm-hmm. But I also think what makes that shoe is just the way it feels too. I love the way it feels around your foot, the neoprene.
Yeah, I have a pair. I love them.
Great. That's what I love. But probably Zoom first. My second comfortable shoe is probably the Kobe 10s. Mm-hmm. That's a full length Zoom. Mm-hmm. So I got to put that up there as well. Then probably second would be Lunarlon.
Yeah, I'm a huge Lunarlon fan.
You can't get away from this. The Lunarlon is tremendous.
The first time I wore Lunarlon was the Flyknit Lunarlon, and before then, you took note of what was comfortable and what wasn't comfortable. But I really didn't start thinking about the cushion setup, and I really didn't start looking into the cushions until it was Lunarlon that was on my feet, and it felt like I was in heaven, man. I cannot wait to try on the Vapor Max. We were talking off air. Tried to get a pair of Vapor Maxes the other day. They're still sold out at the Nike stores. I can't wait to try on a pair of those. I did try on some Adidas Boost. Real nice. Nice cushion.
I'm
but
not gonna lie, most of them, I'm kind of curious trying on myself. I think a lot of people have told me.
I was so curious that I just went to an Adidas store and I tried them on.
We actually had an employee that bought a pair, and he couldn't stop talking about it. So, I mean... me kind of curious.
One of my most comfortable shoes going back to Lunarlon is my Lunarlon Flyknit Chukkas that I strictly wear for exercising. Love them. And then my KD 9 Intense full leg zoom. Can't go wrong.
So I think my next one will be the 3. My third probably will be the Huarache Freeze. So you got best of both worlds. You got the sleeve because of the Huarache, and you got the free base because of the Freeze, and those are super comfortable too. And I love those. And then I think my last pair, probably my Flyknit trainers. My next like comfortable ones too.
You might appreciate this story since you're such a huge fan of the Huaraches. I remember when those shoes first came out. This was 92, I believe, and you could have told me that they came from outer space. They were so
really
different from what everyone else was wearing. And I don't even remember the lows being around back then. You got to keep
it was a basketball shoe.
You got to keep in mind, I'm 12, 13 years old, so I'm not into sneakers like I am today. It was the basketball shoe that everybody was rocking at school, everyone except me.
I want to say I was reading the story. I think they're actually they were sandals at first.
The tech came from sandals,
I think so. I was reading on it a little bit before, and I want to say it was a sandal at first, and then it came into a shoe.
Okay, as far as development and whatnot. Okay,
I think it came from a sandal, then it went into a shoe.
Man, I
don't remember just the actual low tops. I don't remember the high tops.
I mean, there's nothing doper than looking into the process of a particular shoe, because it's just like music making and stuff like that. Something will start off here, and then the end product will be way the hell over here.
It's different from when you started. I want to say, I think also the Freeze were they were doing a study in Stanford, I think, of people running barefoot, and that's how the Freeze came about. Because they were realizing that running barefoot was I could be wrong, but I think the study was showing that running barefoot was better at some point. I don't know if it was better or helped your muscles out a lot better. But that's how the Freeze came about too.
Russell Westbrook, we're talking about top signature shoes and whatnot. And, Russell Westbrook is obviously one of the most dynamic players, not only today, but of all time. I personally can't think of another player that plays like him.
No, yeah, you can't.
He's a Jordan Brand athlete. He just got done re-signing with the brand for, I believe, 10 more years.
10 years, yeah.
I didn't see any dollar figure attached to it.
200, somewhere in there.
So, I mean, which wouldn't surprise me, and he's worth every penny. But if I'm Russell Westbrook's people, I steer him away from Jordan Brand. He needs to be a Nike athlete or whatever brand, but he's with Jordan Brand. He needs to be a Nike athlete, and he is easily the top selling shoe if he has his own proper Nike signature shoe.
Yeah, true.
Easily, he's the top selling guy.
I can see that. But I also feel like I think they don't really go for him as. I think what Jordan's doing with him, they're just using his fashion side to sell his shoes, because he's also in the fashion.
And his fashion shoe sucks.
No, but they suck for us who probably not into that, but someone who's into the fashion and loves the.
You cannot tell me that shoe has sold anything.
I'm sure I hadn't sold the numbers that they were wanting, but as far as like for how he dresses and whatnot, for how people probably see him and how they dress as well, I'm sure they love the way the shoe looks. It's not your typical shoe you're gonna wear, but as far as for fashion goes, I'm pretty sure it's up there.
I know you haven't seen them because I asked you before we started recording. The supposed Russell Westbrook signature that Jordan is finally going to give him for the court. It is horrible. Horrible. It looks like they let Russ have a hand in designing it, which would explain why it looks so damn terrible. He needs to be with Nike. He needs to have his own proper Russell Westbrook signature Nike shoe. And I'm telling you, he's outselling LeBron. He's outselling Kobe. He's outselling Kyrie because he's that type of player that the kids actually want to be like. And I agree. I think his popularity would just sell. The shoe will fly off the shelf, man.
I agree. I think that he'll definitely outdo Kyrie.
His logo will be his face, that mean mugging face.
I can see that. I mean, will he pass LeBron now? Probably not. But I think eventually he probably would.
I think he would.
You think he'll pass LeBron now?
I think if Russell Westbrook had his own Nike shoe, he would surpass LeBron. First of all, I don't know who's number one. You know,
I think pretty sure it's LeBron.
I mean, as far as selling shoe year after year, I don't know.
No,
I mean,
I'm sure it's Jordan.
Because I heard the Kyrie 3s were the top selling shoe for Nike.
Really?
It was either so far this year or past quarter, which makes a lot of sense because it's priced so low.
Yeah.
Russell Westbrook, number one spot if he had his own shoe.
For a person, though, I think year after year is Jordan because he's his own.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's on his 32nd shoe.
Yeah. All the shoes that he has out there, he's going to be number one. But I think behind him, I want to say it was LeBron. But that's maybe like 2 years ago. I was reading this. I would assume it would have been the same. But
listen,
I'd be really surprised if it is Kyrie though.
At least they're not making Westbrook wear some of those other Jordan brand models.
No, yeah, I'm kind of glad that he actually rocks his new shoes.
Chris Paul's signature line with Jordan, it sucks. The Melos, they suck. The Superflies are okay. The ones that Blake Griffin wears, they're all right.
His 10s were good though. Melo's 10s.
Yeah, but they borrowed
just like the 29s.
Yeah, they borrowed a lot from the 29.
Yeah. Or not 29, 28s.
28. Yeah, you're right. The 28. I mean, from afar, you really couldn't tell which was which.
Yeah, you could. It looked the same.
And I can't remember which number it is. I want to say 8 for whatever reason, but they had this horrible looking plastic.
Oh yeah, that was.
It was part of the lacing system.
Yeah, I think it was
horrible.
I think that was 8. Yeah, actually, I think it was. I remember we had a couple of those shoes. Those shoes wouldn't move.
So at least they're not making Westbrook wear any of that bullshit, man. Because I tell you, man, for as great as the Jordan signature line is, I mean, obviously there's been some duds in there, and we can do a whole podcast on that. But generally speaking, they've broken a lot of innovations. You know, a lot of people forget. You know, the first shoe to introduce Huarache technology on the court. I do believe the 7s came out before the Huaraches. Someone out there can correct me if I'm wrong. But just all the technological innovations that line has been able to do over the years. But on the flip side, they also make some of the most garbage shit you've ever seen.
They're just making out the logo.
Right, yeah. You got to milk that logo for what it's worth. Sure.
I mean, they all have their reasons. You know, Team Jordan trainers. I
did like his OG trainer that they're doing.
Those trainers were nice.
They're retroing and they're doing some pretty cool stuff with
trainers. Even the ones that the schools are wearing, those are pretty nice too. Mm-hmm. But you didn't mention it. What about the KDs though?
What about it?
Did you see the KD 10s?
I got them.
Not the 10s, but what he's doing with them.
No.
You didn't see what he's doing with them?
What's going on?
He put the Golden State on there. The first shoe to have a team logo.
No.
You ain't read into that?
No.
His 10s would be the first shoe to ever have a team logo.
Really? A particular.
He's got the bridge on the tongue.
Oh, I did not know that.
The bridge on the tongue.
Hey, just another shot at OKC.
There's a bridge on the tongue.
There was never a Thunderbolt on any of his old shit.
It has a blue pair. Down the insole has
the insole that has all the shit that everyone was saying about him. Okay, I did see that, but I didn't see the bridge on the tongue.
The white pair is the one that has the bridge on. I don't know the white pair.
That might be what he wears opening day. I bet.
I think he brought that out just not too long ago.
Do they call that opening day in basketball?
I think it's they do week. I think
opening week.
I think they do. I don't know what it's called. But
like tip off. I think it's tip off.
NBA tip off weekend is what it is.
So that's what he might be wearing. Come tip off.
Everybody was giving him flag. First Take was doing a whole take on it.
Okay, well, listen. You know, we wanted to stick to sneakers, and we did a pretty damn good job of doing that. I mean, we're about to cross over the 1 hour mark talking nothing but sneakers. What was your take on KD leaving to Golden State?
I don't care that he left. I just care that he left to Golden State.
Why does that matter?
Because
he left your team. Why does it matter where he goes?
I don't think that I honestly don't care that he left. It's just the fact that he left to the team that beat him, and the team.
Well, let me ask you this. Why not leave to the team where you have the best chance to win? Why would he go elsewhere?
I mean, it's not for
we just got done talking off air about you possibly moving on. I mean, you're not going to move on to a lesser job, right?
I'm not. But I think that's something different, though. I mean,
no, it's not different because that's the same shit Rashawn tries to say.
But I'm not trying to make a legacy for myself. I mean, my legacy is not going to be anything no one's even going to read about. But I mean, we're going to read about him for the rest of his life, and it's going to come across that he lost with OKC. He couldn't. He flopped in the West Conference Finals, and then he goes to a team that beat him, a team that had the best record that year. Why do they need one more person?
But that's not KD's problem.
It's not. But
that's not KD. This is the problem that I think a lot of people they're mistaken. These people are regular people just like us.
No, they are.
Just because they make millions of dollars and we may not be able to relate to them on a social level doesn't make them any more different than us. They're humans just like we are. True. So we're talking about KD's legacy. Dude, man, KD's legacy don't make a shit to me personally.
Well, it doesn't, but people want to read into it. They're gonna read that part and
right.
Well, he left to a team that was already good.
Yeah, but hear me out. So KD's legacy doesn't affect me. Mm-hmm. Who it affects is KD.
Oh, it's him, yeah.
Now
he doesn't care, but yeah.
So which goes into my next point. So where does he prioritize this supposed legacy? If I'm KD,
the very bottom.
Well, if I'm KD, first and foremost, I want to make sure my family's taken care of.
Yeah,
I don't think he has kids or anything.
No. I don't think
so first and foremost, you want to make sure your family's taken care of. That's the legacy that I'm going to care about. I don't want to make this seem about money per se, but financially, how am I doing?
Okay, but if you're going to talk about financials, he just signed one of the second biggest contract with Nike. So why is the finances even part of it then?
Okay, which allows him to take lesser money in Golden State.
If he's still making over $100 million, okay.
So you look at the finances. No matter where he plays, he's set.
No, yeah,
he's set regardless. So we're over here talking about legacies or whatnot. I mean, who said KD was interested in building a legacy in a particular city?
I'm pretty sure he wasn't, but he had something good going on in OKC.
He had something good going on for you?
No, not for me.
Who's to say it was good for him?
I default to them anyways. They're not even my favorite team. I default to them because I'm from there.
Listen, I think what hangs up a lot of people is the fact that he left a small market, went to a bigger market. I think that is the root of everyone's dissension with KD. I don't think it really has to do much with the fact that he left for the team that beat him. I personally think that's
my thing though. I don't care that he left OKC.
But for me to think the Oklahoma City fan that loathes KD now would feel different if he just went somewhere else. I'm not buying into that. I don't think it has to do with him going to Golden State per se. So you mean to tell me had he went to San Antonio, it'd be all good?
I wouldn't have cared.
But I'm saying the overall perception.
I honestly think they probably wouldn't have cared either. I still think that it comes down to the fact that how convenient it is that they just beat them. He couldn't do anything. Hey, we're gonna offer you a spot. You want to come join? Yeah, okay. And we can go get a ring. All right, cool.
I don't know, man.
It just seems really easy to get a ring. Now, granted,
it's not easy to get a ring. They still have to go out there. Easy. They still have to. Well, that just speaks to how good they are, but it's not easy. Well, they still have to go out there. They still have to put in the work. The ring wasn't handed to them.
You're giving me four All-Stars to whoever they were playing. I'm sure.
Okay. So now we're going to talk about they have 4 All-Stars. Look back through the course of history. The Chicago Bulls, the team that everyone wants to throw on a mantle, the Chicago Bulls. You had the greatest player of all time. You had arguably the second best player in the whole league in Scottie Pippen playing with him.
Which they drafted.
No, they traded for Scottie Pippen.
No, they drafted him. He was drafted. He didn't. They didn't get
I believe he was originally drafted by the Seattle Seahawks, Supersonics, though. We digress. Someone out there will correct us. Anyways, and then you also have one of the greatest defenders of all time in Dennis Rodman.
They went and got, which is fine. Okay.
The point that I'm making is every great team has multiple great players. For whatever reason, we want to focus on the 4 that Golden State has, and we forget the old Boston Celtic teams that have multiple All-Stars. Bird, McHale, Parrish, Dennis Johnson, the old Laker teams, Magic, Kareem, Michael Cooper, James Worth. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, they have full
For whatever
teams.
reason, in 2017, that shit just matters more than ever before.
I don't think it. To me, okay. For me, that watches the game because I just like to watch the game. I don't really have a favorite team. I default to the Thunder because that's where I'm from. If they're they're doing good, they're in the playoffs, I'm going to root for them. But as a fan, I mean, they already had three people. Why do they need to add one more All-Star? That was my argument.
But why not? You got 5 dope pairs of shoes. Why add a 6?
You went 73-9. Why do you need to add one more person?
Why not?
You had a good team already.
Why not? The logic you are trying to present to me makes no sense. So you're the GM of a team. You have the opportunity to add one of the best players, and you're gonna be like, "Well, we don't need him. Why do we need him?" That makes no sense, dude.
I guess, but it's just like for me, for looking at it from the outside in, for his choices, it's just like they already had 3. Me going there just doesn't look good. That's just my opinion.
And
it just didn't look good.
And you're entitled to it, as we all are.
The same way it doesn't look good with Kyrie leaving LeBron.
Again, it's his decision, his career. If you listen, I will tell you this: I do have an issue with Kyrie not coming out and just stating the obvious.
I think he just didn't want to be there after he left.
Exactly. And I don't think there's anything wrong in saying so.
I don't think there's anything wrong with
not only did Kyrie not want to be there after LeBron left, but he also didn't want to be involved in the circus that's going to be this NBA season where that's all they talk about. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong in saying that. That's the one issue I do have with the Kyrie situation. Other than that, man, go play for Puerto Rico. I don't care. Yeah. As long as you're making moves within the rules that the NBA has in place and the Players Association has in place, who cares? I think people just need to. It's always been this way. I personally have never taken sports so serious to affect me personally. I enjoy it. It's entertainment, but I don't know, man. I think some people just look into it way too much, and at the end of the day, it's just a sport. It's not that serious. We're over here arguing about people that again are making hundreds of millions of dollars, and we're the ones making that happen.
We're the ones making it happen. But I think as far as for us for viewing pleasures, I don't think anybody can argue this one. But for viewing pleasures, it kind of sucks seeing them blow out every team they're playing. It does.
Well,
I don't want. There's times where they're the last game on TNT. Halftime, I'm done watching because they're already blowing them out. What was the point of watching the second half?
The Seattle Sonics did draft Scottie Pippen, but there was a trade done on draft night. So technically, you were right.
He was going to be that. He didn't know that he was going to be that player.
No, I mean, who the hell knows?
He turned out to be a great player, but
I don't even know what the hell school Scottie Pippen went. Central Arkansas. So there you go. Hope everyone out there enjoyed part 1. Be on the lookout for part 2, which will drop sometime next week here on the OSC Podcast Network. We'll catch y'all next time.